Hello, everybody. This is the Disoriented Podcast, Episode 2, and I'm glad to tell you that I am here with the one, the only SWEGTA.
Or at least one of them. There's actually several people who have gone around like I'm SWEGTA, and they say like Nazi shit. And I always get people that contacting me like, "Sweg, what's up with this?"
Yeah, that's a perfect way to ruin someone's career, just hacking into someone's like Twitter profile, and it's like, you know what, I did 9/11.
Yeah, well, some people are gonna do that. I think it's just common sense. Like, look at that and be like, all right, okay, this channel has 2 subscribers. It's not Sweg. The end.
Yeah, it's like, it's so easy to get people against someone they like or something. Like, as soon as they figure out that, like, someone that they've been a fan of forever, something like that, has a different opinion from they're like so quick to jump to hating them.
Yeah, but in that case, it's not even like an opinion I hold. It's just like an absurdity, and one that's easily dismissible because it's like, all right, well, this is obviously a fake account.
I
But
know.
I can see what you mean. Like, I've had people recently, like this morning, I woke up to some dude on Twitter trying to like convert me to Islam. It's like, that's just how you start off your day at this point. You just log in, someone's like, "You're wrong. Let me try and get you to make this life-changing choice."
Yeah, it just sucks. Like, fans of people sometimes won't let the people they're fans of have opinions of their own. Like, there's this one situation going on with this PewPie guy or whatever. Hold on, let me look this up. PewPie. Oh, it's PewDiePie, and there's this another dude that has green hair. Forgot his name. And so basically, this dude who has green hair, he's been a friend of this PewDiePie guy, and this PewDiePie guy made a joke in one of his videos that had to do with Jews or something, and it was just a joke, and the media went crazy about it. And so this Jack guy, he was like a good friend, like a very good friend of PewDiePie, and he made a video saying that he didn't agree with the jokes that PewDiePie guy made, and that he thought it was bad and all that. And people were saying that like that guy was backstabbing the other guy for saying that when it's just his opinion. You can't say that you're backstabbing someone when you just have like it's you can't say that you have to have the same opinion of your friend all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that interested me about that more than anything else is the fact that J.K. Rowling, the chick who actually wrote the Harry Potter books, she was like, she actually like condemned PewDiePie. And was like, this is Nazi stuff, like just right off the surface, not actually like looking into it and seeing what the actual context is, because the context was, I think PewDiePie like tried to push the limits of some website. You'd pay the website and they would have some people like hold a piece of paper with something written on it, and whatever you wanted them to write on it, they do that. He wanted to push those limits for the sake of comedy and was like, "Death to all Jews," and they actually did it. And he like laughed at the absurdity of it all, and that was basically like the whole catalyst of that. Like immediately you had the Wall Street Journal and J.K. Rowling and several other people and news outlets saying like, "Oh well, this prominent YouTuber's a Nazi. How does that make you feel?"
Yeah,
No,
and
when in actuality it was just a joke.
yeah, I seen that video too, and you could see that he was surprised. Like he probably didn't even know that it was gonna happen because when that was like one of the first videos I watched of that dude, and like you can see in the video, like most of the people were saying no to what he told them to do, and then with that, like they actually did it, so you can see that he was surprised, and he probably didn't expect them to do it.
Yeah, and even if he expected them to do it, isn't the fact that it's a joke, doesn't that like validate it somehow? I mean, it's not as if like that's an opinion he holds dearly. It's something that he decided to throw out there for the sake of seeing if the website would actually do that.
Yeah, and it's because like he has such a big influence and all that. And say if I just went on Twitter right now and put like black people are the worst, nobody would care. But since he has like he has this big fan base and he's the most subscribed person on YouTube, like it's just it affects more people and people are trying to slander him and bash him and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of had the same thing happen on occasion. Like I do a video series called Insanity Edition, and there's one character that has a swastika on his back.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, Pete.
badly drawn. Yeah, and I've had people tell me like, I flagged this because this offended me. offends me. It's like, well, good luck with that. Fortunately, I'm with a really good network who has like always protected me against that. I actually looked up how many times I've been flagged, and I did so by going to my Gmail account. I don't use it at this point. It's just connected to my YouTube channel. I went to my Gmail account and typed in a YouTube flagged, and immediately I had this like giant wall of like emails like you've been flagged for this and that, and a lot of those happen to be not Picho, Insanity Edition episodes. So I assume that there's a lot of people who take issue with that, but to me, whether it's a joke or not should not even be part of the debate. I think people should be able to express themselves, even if it's like in some kind of absurd manner, like "oh, death to all Jews." Well, if you believe that, then who am I to say that you shouldn't have the right to say that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I got offended over a badly drawn swastika.
Yeah, I kind of just the thing that comes to mind is Hitchens' quote. It's like, "To whom do you give the right to silence and censor? Who decides what is appropriate speech and what is something that should be prohibited? Who gets that right?" I don't think it's possible to be fair and pick a person who just becomes in charge and decides that. I don't even think that's possible.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like fair to have someone who has an opinion for everybody to go against them for that specific opinion. If like say you could have one opinion and nobody really cares, but once it's something that people don't agree with, like you're going to get hate, and it's just hard to like say one of the PewDiePie guys fans, if they had an opinion that was different from people's and everybody started hating on them and like they got like negative subscribers and all that. Nope, like he wouldn't like that, I bet you. But is quick to do it to PewDiePie because you don't agree with him and all that. It's sort of like the Casey Neistat thing when he said he was voting for Hillary. He lost like a ton of subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with some people who happen to be Hillary supporters. There's even like bully voice actors that I follow on social media who are like, "Yay, Hillary." I beg to differ on that, but I'm not gonna like attack their character because of this one grievance I have with them when it comes to like some political issue that's not even a relevant point. At this point. But the thing to me is like, I can deal with the hate. Like I can deal with people being like, "Oh, fuck you, you made a joke," and like I'm fine with that. I've been dealing with that for years now. Ever since I, became, ever since I started making videos on YouTube, making crude jokes. The thing that just bugs me is when people actually attempt to silence others. Like I stated, I've been flagged so many times that it's like I'm kind of surprised I haven't gotten a strike or anything on my account. I've been fortunate enough to not have a single issue with the channel that I run. No idea how or why, since flagging appears to be a very prevalent issue on YouTube.
Yeah, but this is the topic is sort of I guess controversial. So let's move on to something else. How about bully?
All right.
Good. And the thing is, one of your recent like Bully 2 videos, talking about how Rockstar was doing all this to like sort of like gain attraction to Bully again because they might announce Bully 2 or something like that. And I highly agree with that. The only time they ever did anything like that with another like mobile port was with Grand Theft Auto. I believe it was Liberty City Stories, and they did that only a year after the game released on mobile because it hit over 1 million downloads or something like that. So they did like a case giveaway or special iPad giveaway or something like that. But as soon as Bully releases, they do that. They try to, and they also release it on Xbox One. It seems like they're just trying to bring back some of the Bully fans that just abandoned it. So they get the prime time, but it feels like that is sort of dying down. So you never know. It's hard to tell. Like one moment you see Rockstar messing with Bully, something, you're like, yeah, you Bully too, and then the next moment you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you mentioned, they've been pushing like a lot of merchandise and stuff like that. Something that you never really saw with a prior game, unless it was in celebration of something like the 10th anniversary of GTA San Andreas. Bully received its mobile port, and along with that, they had a contest where they actually gave out merchandise to people, merchandise that they're now selling on the Rockstar warehouse. I actually pre-ordered some stuff from there, so that'll be nice when that comes in the mail. Um, but the thing that kind of intrigues me is why they do that now. It seems kind of pointless when it comes to such a minor game as juxtaposed to GTA or any bigger title. To me, this is kind of indicative of them trying to kind of get people riled up somehow, or at least keep the title bully within the heads of people that follow.
And I know a lot of people, like, when they say certain features they want for Bully 2, they usually say they want, like, Jimmy Hopkins back and you play him in college and stuff like that. And, like, I'm not trying to be mean to him or anything, but I disagree with that. Like, yes, I would love for Jimmy to be in the next game, but, like, here's sort of my idea for it. Like, you play someone, like, 10 years later going to Bullworth, and it's sort of gone down ever since like Jimmy, left Bullworth or whatever. It's sort of like new people have come and old people have left, and it's sort of changed and all this, and they're trying to like instrict like new policies and all that. But like I think it would be good if like maybe he was part of like he was sort of a version of the hobo from the first game. Like he taught you things and all that, like how to fight and how to navigate the school and what to do and all that, and like he would supply you with missions and certain things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of something that I think Rockstar should strive for. Maybe have Jimmy portray this kind of Mr. Miyagi esque character from Karate Kid. Have this older figure that actually um, recognizes the similarities between him and the new protagonist, and then decides to like, okay, I'm gonna take you under my wing and teach you everything you need to know. Basically, serving as Gary did in the very beginning of the game by like showing you ropes of the school and all that, and the various cliques involved. Kind of going about it that way.
But I think that we might have to wait a long time for Bully 2 because if it has been in development, it hasn't been in development for that long because I believe it was either 2014 or 15 when one of the lead at Rox, I forgot his name, said that he would love to make a Bully 2 sequel, but he didn't say, or not Bully 2 sequel, but Bully sequel, but he didn't say that it was in development or anything. He just said that he'd love to make one and that he would do it. So that means that if we are getting a Bully 2, it'll probably be a long ways from now. Like, it may be, if, it is in development, probably around just started maybe like a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, as for development, I actually have a very close friend of mine who I've known since 2012 or so. He actually does have connections within Rockstar. This is not verifiable in any way, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But he's assured me that Bully 2 is indeed in development. It's only in what you would call a development hell. It's basically like never made it past the basic game engine and stuff like that. When you make a game, usually you have some kind of basis for it initially before you get to the actual parts in terms of storyline and characters.
Yeah, that reminds me of
kind of like the Rage engine, think of it that way. I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
Oh no, never mind. Just continue what you were doing. What I was gonna say was like very unimportant, and I realized it was stupid to say.
All right, rock on. Yeah, as for the thing you mentioned about Sam Hauser, I believe, or Dan, I don't know. I tend to get those mixed up. But either one of those guys stated that just because we never get to a sequel immediately, that doesn't necessarily mean that we never will. So I think that it's going to eventually happen. When that is a question that I don't really think anybody can really answer at this point.
And another thing that sort of what I usually take a grain of salt is when people say that Rockstar will like when you see a lot of articles about Bully 2 that are fake and all that, they'll say that like they'll announce it at like next upcoming E3 and all that. But I take that with a high grain of salt because Rockstar has a tendency to never be at any of the cons like that. You barely ever see them at PAX or E3 or any places like that.
Yeah. The one appearance I recall, and there's probably been several since, but that was back in 2005, I believe. There's actually footage of people walking around, E3 recording bully merchandise being given out and stuff like that. So I mean, like they've made appearances, but it's very infrequent. Um, I'm not quite sure if they plan on making an appearance for the next E3. I doubt it, judging from their track record.
Yeah, and I saw this article. It was like the only article I saw about this, but like it was basically stating a rumor that you know how when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas got its mobile port, that there was a port to consoles. It was a port of the mobile version to consoles. It was exactly like the mobile version, and it came to PS3, and Xbox 360. But the only problem with that was that it was like a very horrible port. Like it took like 5 seconds to load up the pause menu, and
Yeah, I was just
there's
gonna say it's an awful port. I actually attempted to complete the game on that port. I just couldn't make it past it because there were so many game-breaking things that just ended up either crashing my game or soft locking it or leaving me incapable of continue at all. A good example of that would be the mini games. A lot of the mini games will spontaneously just end, and you'll either fail the mission or you'll just be stuck in one cutscene or something like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and the mobile version is good. It's really good. It's just the console port from the mobile version is horrible. And the rumor was said that the same thing is going to happen with like I don't like I'm not saying that the port's going to be horrible if it does happen, which it probably won't. But the same thing will happen with Bully Anniversary Edition, and they said that it will only get ported to PS4, not Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like okay, I could understand why Rockstar would be aiming for the next gen consoles. Although I don't think next gen is really like a term that applies because they've actually fallen far behind, PCs in terms of performance. They've always had that issue, but at this point, it's more prominent than ever. But like the next gen consoles, I think that if they actually release Bully on those consoles, like I'll have to get one. Like there's no way I'm not gonna do that. Which I really hope they don't. I really hope they release it on PC. But judging from Rockstar, just when it comes to their games in general, either we will not get a PC port if they do release the game, or we'll get a lackluster PC port that may or may not be fixed at some point in time.
Yeah, that's like the same thing that happened with Grand Theft Auto 4. And that's why I'm glad they took their time with the PC version of Grand Theft Auto 5 because that had, it was well optimized unlike the Grand Theft Auto 4 version, but this is why there's been like because so far Red Dead Redemption, they said it's only going to be on PS4 and Xbox One. And because of this, there's like around like 100 something petitions online for it to be, made on PC. Like people are saying, like, oh, we want Red Dead Redemption 2 to be put on PC because we don't have the next gen console and all that. And I just don't think it's a fair move to, like have like series and all this that people love and enjoy, but like restrict it to something that they don't have.
Yeah, especially a console that I'm not even sure if they still manufacture it. The Xbox 360.
Yeah, they
PS3.
stopped it. They stopped manufacturing the Xbox 360. They're still manufacturing the PS3, but not the Xbox 360.
Yeah. So I mean, if they want to maintain that game's relevance, or at least the relevance it still has, then the wisest move to do would be to actually re-release it on PC, or at least maybe make some kind of HD master or something like that. Because bear in mind, the game was not really recent. So I mean, making a higher quality port would definitely be something that I think would kind of resurrect the interest of people that initially played it back in the day. Um, as for Bully, like I stated, I mean, if they do release it on PC, my expectations would be low, sadly. Um, Although I could be wrong. That's just basing it off of their track record. With GTA 4, I think they actually recently patched GTA 4,
Yeah, they
which
did
was
it like a couple of months ago. Like it fixed a lot of optimization. Like there's like a around like 10 to 20 FPS boost.
yeah. The bad part about that was that it actually killed off a lot of mods and made a lot of compatibility issues occur when it came to just modifying the game. But I'm glad they actually did something, although it was like years later. I'm not quite sure when they released GTA 4 on PC. I think it was like 2008 or 2009. So at this point, like 8 years later, yeah, it's better late than never. But they most definitely could have done something way sooner.
Yeah, I wish they did that with Bully because even though Bully Scholarship Edition released while Windows 7 was out, it still has a lot of problems with Windows 7 and Windows 10. And I feel like the best operating system that works on is Windows. I think it works best on Windows XP and Windows Vista, but um, I think the main reason that if Rockstar will never make a Bully 2, the main reason was because all the controversy that the first Bully had got. It had, Jack Thompson, reporting on it and all this stuff, and it wasn't really as successful as their Grand Theft Auto series and all that. So if they won't ever make a Bully 2, that's probably the reason why.
Sure. I kind of disagree with that a bit because when it comes to the controversy, that actually boosted Bully sales a tad bit.
Yeah,
You
yeah, it
had
did.
people actually like talking about this game, being like, "Are they serious? Like the people who made GTA, with hookers and guns and all that, they're gonna make a schoolyard game now?" People were really like anticipating what it would turn into, and I think that in order to just kind of uh, refute any kind of wrong speculation about the game, like, oh, it'll take place in Columbine and you'll kill all those kids, like shit like that. I think the one way you can actually refute that quite easily would be to just say, look at the first game, just put a number two after that, and there you go. That's Bully Two. That's probably what it's gonna be like. It'll be kind of like the first game, maybe more up to date if it actually gets made, and that'll probably be that. Just like any prior GTA game compared to GTA 5.
Yeah, that's the main problem I have with a lot of those, like, a lot of fan ideas, is they, like, always say, like, we want Jimmy grown up and, like, Grand Theft Auto and shoot guns and stuff like that, and I do not want that. That is not what I want from a Bully game. The reason I love the first Bully so much when I got it back in 2006 was how, fun it was and how, the map was small, and there wasn't that many characters, but, it was, like, recognizable characters and characters that actually had names and all that you could memorize, and they were all so special and all this. And I just had a fun time when I first played it because I had finished playing San Andreas and I was like 2 years old or something like that, but I didn't really pay attention to all that. But like I just wanted a new game to play, so my grandma, who was the one that she actually got me into gaming, surprise surprise, um, she got Bully, and when I first played it, I was addicted to it. That was the only game my 2 year old self played for months and months, and I'm still like a really huge fan of it.
Yeah. The thing that always intrigued me about Bully was like the overall atmosphere and characters. It has a very like Napoleon Dynamite esque theme to it, in a very odd way. Um, it's a very charming game. Like when it comes to characters, it's very hard to define just what is so appealing about it. But I think it's how the characters interact that actually make it likable. If you take a character from the game and just look into them individually, that's interesting. But the way they actually interact is something that made the game is so memorable for a lot of people. Like that's kind of the reason why you see so much fan fiction and fan art on DeviantArt and any kind of
Mm.
website that has any kind of bully content to offer, for better or for worse. You actually do have like erotic novels and shit like that, but whatever. You'll always get that stuff. But with bully, it seems very prevalent, and I do think that's because, like I stated, the characters made the game.
Yeah, and like Bully was more focused on like I don't know how you would describe it, but it wasn't like Grand Theft Auto where you can just run over people on the streets and like not play the story and just like beat up everybody and all that. On Bully, it was sort of more restricting. How like when you hit an adult and like you have like police motorbikes chasing, like not like on the scale of GTA, but like you have like one police
You seem to be
motorbike
cutting
chasing
out a
you.
lot. I think your internet connection might be going down.
Yeah, it's horrible, but I won't let that stop me because I'm getting a new PC soon. Right now, I'm using my crappy school MacBook Air that restricts me from doing a lot of things, and actually, for some reason, dumbs down the internet like to half the megabytes per second. Right now, I have like 10 megabytes per second, but it like restricts it down to like 5. I don't know why. It's just strange. But like you can see that like on Grand Theft Auto, there's just so many mindless peds going through, and they're not special at all. But on Bully, you have these, you know, people. Like every single person you see is a special character that has a name, and is interactable and all that, and has a special voice. But just like on a Grand Theft Auto game, you see him, just you can kill him, doesn't matter, nothing happens. It like, and this is why I think it would be good for, like things such as, well, it's hard to explain. Like, if they made a Bully 2, and like even if they just made a remaster, like if they had like improved, like they kept the same mechanics and all that, but they used new technologies and all that, that would be just mind blowing. Like what Bully accomplished when it first released was amazing, and if they could just improve on that with new technologies and what they could do with that would be just almost mind blowing. And it was like the atmosphere of Bully that made it such, an appealing game and something that made it stand out from Grand Theft Auto, because when you look at Grand Theft Auto, it's just, it's either the missions that intrigue you, or it's just going around and killing everything. That's most of the appeal of Grand Theft Auto. But with Bully, you have these special characters and, these special missions and all this stuff. Like, you can remember a lot of the missions in Bully more than you can in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and it's not just because there's more missions, but like with Bully, it's like almost seemed like they meaned a lot to the story, and it was just easy to remember. Like I remember a lot of cutscene, audio and all that. Like in the beginning, I can almost like recite like almost all of what they're saying.
Yeah, occasionally I'll have back and forth with a friend of mine, Alan Salaka. He'll repeat a line from the game, and I'll have this back and forth with him where he says the lines for character A, and I say the lines for character B. Like the introduction cutscene in the cafeteria was like, here we are, feeding time at the zoo, and I'll just have this back and forth with him. So I would say that it's not only characters, but it's the dialogue and its overall feel of the game. I think they did a very good job when picking Sean Lee to actually provide the soundtrack for the game. And I actually spoke to Sean on Facebook and asked him like, so when it came to soundtrack, was there anything that was like cut from the game or anything? He's like, no, everything made it. They gave me instructions and I knew exactly what to do. So I think that the communication that Rockstar has when it came to the game, I think they had the idea like from the get go. They knew what they wanted to do. Of course, it changed throughout development. If you look at the character designs, you'll see that initially they had a very like cartoony kind of comic book esque look to them, which would eventually get decreased, and they increased the realism a bit. But they definitely had this idea from the get go, and I think that is part of the formula that made it so successful. It's just the fact that they knew what they wanted to do and they immediately went for that.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to explain. When you look at the beta animations for Bully, you see that they like the fighting animations. They look very cartoonish, and a lot of them in the actual game sort of do. Like a lot of the wrestle fight animations look cartoonish, but like on the other hand, a lot of them look very smooth and all that. And I like it seems to me from looking at the fighting animations that it would like seem like most of it wouldn't be mocap like it is in the final game, and it just it like in the final game it's more smoother, but all the animations seem more cartoony. Like when you look at mocap, like when you see bodily movements, they look very smooth, but sort of like with the cartoonish side, like you see it like one limb like goes this way, and it doesn't seem how an actual human would move. But then again, it's like you can tell them that they're actually moving realistically, but not how it actually. It's sort of hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a big difference between something that's actually there and something that they artificially did in some animating software. Uh, the thing that always intrigued me about the cutscenes in Bully is how it all seems so perfectly timed. Like every mission you just happen to appear at at the nick of time, and all of the events taking place. You never miss out on anything in the game, really.
Yeah, that's sort of like Rockstar's formula. They almost do that in almost every single one of their games, but it really shines through in Bully.
Yeah, it's like you just happen to take a stroll through the city and you come across your gym teacher walking out of a pornographic store, and he asks you to do something that's probably really fucking illegal. Like it just happens to take place. And that's something that I actually like about that. And like I stated, the game actually has a very like Napoleon Dynamite feel to it. I don't know if you saw that movie, but it kind of has the same feel in terms of characters. They're all kind of goofy, but deep in their own ways. And I think that's something that actually made the cutscene so interesting. If you take the basic concept of what I just mentioned, like your gym teacher asking you to do something that's actually pretty fucking despicable to do, uh, you know, putting Mr. Burton and Jimmy Hopkins in that scenario just enhances that. It just makes it interesting. Like remove those characters and just look at that objectively, and you're like, that's actually kind of horrifying that that would take place. But then when you do it in Bully, it just seems okay because the game just has that feel to it, that very kind of like cartoony but not too gimmicky feel.
Yeah, if they were to like try to do that in a more realistic game that was more grounded and didn't have any jokes like that or whatever, you would think that that's like awful. Like, why would they put that in there? But since this is cartoony and it's like it has jokes and all that, you're like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like the final cutscene in the game, and I don't know, spoiler alert, I guess. I mean, fuck it, it's been out for over a decade. If anybody hasn't played it yet, they're never gonna do that. Anyway, the thing that like at the end of the game, they fall down from the school rooftop, fight. Gary he gets knocked out, and there's glass everywhere. It's like it just seems very violent. But when you see it from Bully's perspective, it has like this very kind of innocent feel to it somehow. And that kind of intrigues me more about a lot of removed content from the game. For example, in the beta version of Bully, they had plans that if you failed the Edgar boss fight somehow, Jimmy would then find himself like drowning in acid. Like this is an actual thing that's backed up by like proof at this point. There's like reference.
And like while you're talking about that, that sort of reminds me of that one theory you talked about how when they smashed through that glass and all that Jimmy actually died because it seemed like none of that, like all the chaos that was there before when he was fighting Gary and all that, like just magically disappeared when he came out of the school and kissed Zoe and all that, and it just seems very weird to me, and like I really agree with that. Like I think that's like canonical and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent on that theory. I think it's an interesting theory, and I think it's something that is a pretty interesting way of looking at things. Um, but to me, it just feels like Rockstar felt like, okay, we gotta, this game needs to be out on this date. We have a deadline. Let's just cut the shit. Let's just make the ending now. And they decided to just like, all right, well, you win. You defeated the evil antagonist. Everything's good now. It just seems to be the pattern with like almost every single GTA game. With GTA San Andreas, by the end of it, which is another game that you should have played by now if you haven't.
Yeah, I love that game. It's like that was the whole reason I got Bully, was because I was playing GTA San Andreas and I wasn't bored of it. It was just I wanted a new game, and I thought that Bully was going to be very similar, but boy was I wrong.
Yeah. But as far as like riots and all that, I mean like almost every single Rockstar game ends with like some big spectacle. There's some big event taking place, and there's like people fighting all over the place, and people being flung around and shit. The same thing kind of happened in GTA San Andreas. But by the end of it, you defeat one of the main antagonists of the game, and it just seems like the riot just abrupts. It ends suddenly.
Yeah, it's like Officer Tenpenny has this like remote that he has in his pocket. It's like once you kill him by that fire truck scene, whatever. It's like he accidentally like his body slams up against the floor or whatever, and like the remote gets pressed and all the riots stop magically.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's also like just another way for Rockstar to just kind of very quickly and kind of rushed wrap up the game. It just seems to be a pattern with them.
And like,
so as far as that goes, I don't think the theory is. I wouldn't say that it's disprovable, but I'm not sure if it's a valid one. But it's an interesting one, and one that I have thought a lot about.
Yeah, and it's like sort of like since it's been so long since Bully released, and like the community's been dragged on all this time. It's like anything Bully related that Rockstar has said, anything like that, like we jump in like, oh, Bully 2 and all that, and it's sort of like when in Grand Theft Auto 5 when it released, there was this like how I don't know if you would call it procedurally generated peds with like certain like it would have a certain skin color or whatever that, but there was a jersey, like one ped would wear a jersey that said Hopkins on the back, and like everybody in the Bully community was like, oh, Bully 2 confirmed.
Yeah, it's like we found this common last name. This was confirmed that a game was making.
Yeah, it's just It's just weird. Yo, stop! I'm recording a video. Go back in the room just for a little while. Just for a little while. Recording a video. It's like sorry for the background noise in the background. My two brothers are doing something. I don't even know what they're doing, but it's just, like every single person in, that's a fan of Bully, it's like you see one thing, it's like it just makes you jump to conclusions because we're like sort of grasping for something, and it's just we see one thing, we're like, oh, please be that.
Yeah, a theory that I'm thinking about looking into at this point is there's people who speculate that Gary is actually just like insane and he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he eventually stopped taking medication around mid to late chapter 1, and shortly after that he turns on you and changes character almost completely.
Yeah, and that's another reason I like Bully, because he was, you can tell that Gary's like well thought out, even though it's just like, it's all absurd, like, oh, Gary happened to pop in at this minute and say something to this preppy, saying that he's inbred and all that, and it's just, that's why I like him so much, because, when I was first playing that, when, like, I replayed it, because when I was, like, 2 and was first playing it, all that, like, I didn't think much of the story, I just played it, beat up kids, played the story, I skipped all the cutscene, and when I replayed it when I was, like, around 6 or something like that, and I actually, I did the same thing with San Andreas, but when I replayed it and paid attention to the cutscenes, actually understand all that, like, it just made me think, like, it was so intriguing, like, what's he, like, is he gonna pop up in this cutscene and say something and, like, turn more people against you, like, it's just, it's sort of, and, like, it influences you to, like, want to take down Gary.
Yeah, I don't know, we've been talking for a while, I think it's about time we wrap it up in about 5 minutes or so. I gotta go get some stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, I guess I should end it here. So, this has been episode 2 of the Disoriented podcast with SWEGTA. It has been an honor having you on here, and this has been the end. Sorry to end abruptly, but I don't know how to end videos, and bye.